Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And boy, have I got some exciting stuff to go through. I actually did an entire PowerPoint presentation on the Economist cover. Um, so I have watched two other videos, one by Donut and one by Enter the Stars. And you can go check them out. But some of the things for me, it was like already obvious. Yeah, okay, they brought out a few things. And then there's some things that they didn't talk about that I'm going to talk about. And like I said, I've put everything in a PowerPoint presentation for you. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm excited to share this with you. I know it's a Monday night. It's not my usual time. Let me get the screen shared here. Well, it's the same time of day, but I don't usually do Mondays. So wait, let me see. Share a presentation. Slides from my computer. Upload the file. Okay, we're gonna get it going here. If you're not familiar with The Economist, I think it's a weekly magazine, at least monthly, if not weekly. And every year around this time, they put together an issue that's about the coming year. And so a lot of people, they enjoy trying to decipher this cover every year. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be deciphering all the images on this cover. So I'm getting the slides ready. Here it's uploading. So now some people, they're just, they don't believe in any Illuminati stuff or elite or stuff like that. And that's fine. You don't have to believe in any of that if you don't want to. It's still looked at as somebody with economic foresight and globalist foresight, because it always ends up being extremely accurate every year. But there are also people who believe that this ties into globalist agendas, like people who meet at Davos, people who meet at the World Economic Forum, the Bilderbergs, Bohemian Grove, the Council on Foreign Relations, any of that stuff, right? So, okay, good. The slides are ready. So this is the cover. All righty. It says The World Ahead 2024. Very, very normal for them to say something like that. And we are going to look at each of the things on here and what does it mean? What's coming in 2024? All right. So move to the next slide. Look at that. Wow. This is fun. Use them. Yeah, this is great having this slide thing. So, but my my logo, let me take my logo, see if I can remove the logo out of the corner. Oh, I think I'll still put the duck, but that's what we need to be able to see that slide. Give me a second here. My computer's a little slow. Okay, logo. All right, so okay, at least you can see better with the duck. Okay, I do use StreamYard. So who will be the global leaders? Now, if you look, I've circled in green. Can I? I don't think I can show a mouse on this. Okay. So there's some green circles. These are all the people. And if we look at the top, that's clearly on, okay, so the top left in red, we have Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. All right. And on the right in blue, we have Vladimir Putin, president of Russia. Okay. Above them in smaller squares in black and white, you've got Donald Trump with the question mark and a lady with a ponytail. Now, different people are supposing different things about who that might be. And because it's connected to Zelensky, okay, who we know as a Serbian performance artist and well known for her spirit cooking. She has now been chosen by Vladimir Zelensky to be the Ukraine ambassador for education and reforming education. So that's interesting. And so apparently she's going to have some kind of influence in that role. Now Trump, you'll notice in the pictures there, in on the cover, there's a question mark. So I think they don't know who's going to be leading America. It might be Trump. And I added 2 more pictures there on the right top, and that is Gavin Newsom, who is currently the governor of California. I think he's not in the race yet, but remember when Obama won, it's like he came out of nowhere, right? Nobody knew who he was. Nobody, it was like, where did this guy come from? And then he won. I think the Democrats may be having a play like that again, or somehow, yeah, I don't think it's going to be Biden. And then you've also got Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is running as an independent. So those, I think, are the 3 possibilities for the president of the United States. However, the U.S. is not in one of the 4 top figures for the stage in global affairs. They're predicting that the role of the U.S. is going to get smaller, and they're not going to have the influence that they once had as a superpower, right? And you'll notice that Zelensky and Putin are facing off with each other, okay? Now, in the bottom half, on the right, I'm going to start with the right. We all know that is Xi Jinping, the president of the People's Republic of China. No surprise there. China is a superpower on the global stage. But then some people were saying like that the guy in the blue on the left might be Biden. And I'm like, no, because America is already represented by Trump with a question mark. And so I believe that the man in the blue on the bottom is Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations. And that the United Nations will have a larger role in 2024 on the global stage. Okay, so that's all the people. And please, Lemoyne in the house. Sorry, when I changed the logo at the top, I covered up the comments, so I didn't see that you popped in. But I hope you're enjoying this. I don't know if you've ever in previous years looked over the Economist cover. I've never done a video on it before, but I certainly have a lot to say about it. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's see here we go. Ta-da! So now you see my green circles. We're looking at the top sections. So I believe that they're talking about war or peace. Time is running out. You notice they've got some bombs and a dove in the black squares at the very top. Bombs, war, dove, peace. Okay, so war or peace. We've got the hourglass. Time is running out. So then you've got rockets or missiles, right, that I've circled on the sides. Now, I noticed that the BBC on October 17, 2023, had a headline, Ukraine uses US-supplied ATACMS for the first time. And that's a picture right there of this rocket that's being launched from the ground-to-air missile. And I suppose ground-to-ground as well. You could be, targeting a military base or something. And these are just some of the weapons and arms that Ukraine has. Now, on the Russian side, here is okay. Ukraine used to have nuclear capability, but when they joined NATO, they disarmed. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. So they are not supposed to have any nuclear weapons right now, but they did used to. Okay, Russia, of course, does have nuclear weapons. And there's an example of a missile being launched. And then you can see how large this big missile is being in the center on the right-hand side. That's on on a big tank, right? That's a huge missile. And then you've got another one where a smaller one that's like being launched. Ready to launch. So are we looking at an arms race? Are we looking at something nuclear happening? Now the rocket that's on the right on the right top. I'm gonna show a picture in the next slide as well. So even though this slide is talking about the space race and to the moon, that one missile that we just moved from, if you look at the bottom right picture that has like three pictures, you'll see that the moon, that's a moon rocket ready to launch, a US moon rocket, and it looks almost exactly like that picture. Let me go back a slide. So the one I have circled here, that's a rocket on the right side next to Putin's head, looks like this picture at the bottom here on the right. So you've got Russian satellites, and I've shown some, and so the top Russian satellite is actually a weapon, okay? And the second one underneath that's kind of blue and really looks like the one that's circled next to Putin's head is a communication satellite. And it's like for tracking, and not just GPS and working on your phone, for Google Maps or something. It's like serious Big Brother kind of stuff happening with these satellites. And Ukraine, of course, we know that Elon Musk set them up with the Starlink. And if you look at the Starlink satellites, what they look like, hey, Mumsy in the house, Mumsy in the house. We're just going over all these symbols in the Economist magazine cover. So on the left side, behind Zelensky's head, I have a satellite that is circled. And if you look at the Starlink satellite, it is very much like that. So I think that we're definitely looking at a space race for both communications, for weaponization, and for resources on the moon. Okay. Next slide. All right. In the middle, elections. That's obviously an election ballot. Everything's blank on that. Now, the first thing that I question with that is not like which election is it talking about and who's going to win, but like, is someone stuffing the ballot box? Right? It kind of has that feeling to it to me. So there could be election corruption happening. But that aside, if we just look at some of the things here, at the top left, 8 key elections to watch in 2024, right? So I'm going to look at that on my PowerPoint so I can read it to you. It says, in 2024, countries making up over 50% of global GDP will undergo decisive elections. The results will both reflect an impact and increasingly precarious geopolitical and economic environment. Okay. And so under that, here's 5 of them. The US presidential election is in November. The Russia presidential election is in March. The EU Parliament election is in June. The Taiwan presidential election is in January. And the India general election is in April and May. I guess there's a big population, so I guess it takes a long time. I don't know. And then there's a little map under there that you can look at that important. Russia, we know why that's important. EU, we know why that's important. Taiwan, of course, don't forget that there's a lot heating up in the South China Sea, and China really, really, really wants Taiwan. Here in Cambodia, we have to be really careful because there is a lot of Chinese influence building infrastructure and things, which we'll get to a little bit later. And they don't want, so anybody they do business with, they don't want recognizing Taiwan. But Cambodia does recognize Taiwan and allows Taiwanese companies. There's a Taiwanese, there's airlines, there's an embassy, I believe, maybe. I'd have to check on that. And so whatever happens in their presidential election will definitely affect the whole situation in the South China Sea and relations between the U.S. and China as well. Now, India, why is India? Whoever thinks about India, especially, I mean, if you're in the U.S. And so this is why on the right-hand side, I added a little world population map or pie chart. And so the big gray spot is like is other, okay? Like Taiwan is in other. But China has 18.5% of the world population. India is second with 17.9% of the world population. Now the US comes in third at 4.3%. So look at that difference, 4.3% to 17.9%. That's a lot of people, a lot of resources, and a lot of power in that way. And then if you're interested in the actual number in millions, China has 1,400,000,000 people. India has 1,500,000,000. Oh, that's the expected by 2030. Okay. So 2015, right now, China and India are almost equal. Well, as of 2015, they were almost equal. With they both have 1.3 billion, and China's 1.376, and India is 1.311. So not that much difference. And by 2030, which we're not that far away from, it's expected that India's population will overtake China's. Let me tell you, I put this up and I didn't even notice that until just now when I was reading it to you. That's for me, it's scary. For people from India, they're probably happy with it. The United States third is in 2015 was 322 million, and expected to be 356 million in 2030. So nowhere, not even half a billion. And both China and India are at 1.5 billion. Quite a difference. Okay. So our next slide. So the next section, we're going to move to the left side of the cover, and we're going to talk about transhumanism. Okay. Because I think the first thing that catches your eye is the most obvious. There are 4 brains, and they're all plugged into the machine, right? And so, yeah, transhumanism. And you'll notice that there are red wires and blue wires. And we're going to talk a little bit about the whole red and blue thing a little bit later. But for now, we can just say that it's everybody. It doesn't matter what side of what issue, whether it's politics, religion, whatever, race, anything, everybody is going to be plugged in, right? At some level. And so the smaller green circle, there are these 4 squares above, and should I mention the all-seeing eye? Okay, which has a lot of symbolism of its own, right? In ancient mysticism. So above the eye are 4 blocks, and below the eye are 4 blocks. That makes 8, and 2 of them have question marks. Now, there's 2 sides of the transhumanism that I'm bringing out in this. And first, let me just say quantum computers, okay? Because if we're talking about brain-computer interface, which we're going to get to next, it all takes quantum computers in order to be able to process all this data. If we're going to have how many billion people on the planet? 7 billion, and their brains are going to be uploaded. You have to be able to process it. So what I've listed, and it's hard, I know it's hard for you to read, so I'll read it to you, but of course, you know, if you look at this later or screenshot it or something, and then you can blow it up, you should be able to read. So who has quantum computers now? So some of the main businesses leading the way in quantum computing include Google, IBM, Rigetti Computing, or Rigetti, IonQ, D-Wave, Alibaba, Xanadu, Honeywell, Zapata Computing, and Cambridge Quantum Computing. So that's 10 quantum computers. And on the bottom right side, where there's a map of the world with all those little dots, those are all quantum computers. The different colors represent nonprofit or governmental, private startup, publicly traded companies, and universities. Okay, but just to get an idea of where in the world all these quantum computers are located, there it is. Okay, so before we get to the bottom corner, and by the way, the picture there with the box, and that is a quantum computer. That's a D-Wave quantum computer. And they don't even mention CERN, you know. So I don't know if any of this section here has anything to do with CERN, which is the collider that in Switzerland, well, mainly Switzerland, but it kind of goes over some borders, I think, into France as well. So I want you to look at on the top right, the stage of development. Okay. I found this very interesting. That's why I included it. So just like, there's that evolution of man going from an ape and to walking upright. This is talking about the stage of development of transhumanism. So it starts out, so at the monkey stage or ape, there's a hearing aid. Okay. An external hearing aid. That was like one of the first things that was a computer helping people, right? Then there was the pacemaker, okay? And then that's going inside the body, right? But it's a machine, it's computer. It has cryogenics, so I guess people started being, already frozen as cryogenics. I don't know if they've ever tried to revive someone or upload their brain. But there are people that are frozen waiting for technology to revive them, right? So then we have the smartphone. So now we've got a man walking with the smartphone in his hand. And so we've got it something that we're holding. It's not part of us yet, but it's that small. It's, everything we can do with a smartphone, right? But it's in the hand. And yes, people are attached to them as if it's part of them, right? Then the next circle is the RFID implants. So yes, we know that those are happening around the world. I think in America, probably what's most common is putting them in your pets. So if they're lost, a veterinarian can scan it and they can get your pet back to you. But there's plenty of companies that require their employees to get RFID implants, and then they can, the same way, I'm sure most of you have seen, if you don't already have, the credit cards or debit cards that you can just tap, right? It's like that. With the RFID, you just wave your hand and the sensor will pick it up and you pay for whatever you want or whatever. Then the next circle is Google Glass. So this now there's another man. He's got something on his arm, kind of like a Fitbit kind of thing, right? And they've got the Google glasses. So this is what they call wearables. Wearables. You wear them on your body. Where the smartphone is something you hold in your hand, you can drop it. But wearables are something that's actually on you. So they've got Google Glass, virtual reality, and cybernetics, as in people who had an injury or something, right? You have and now they've like if you've amputated your hand and then they give you a cyber hand, right? Cybernetics. Okay. Above that is a circle that says BCI. That means brain computer interface. And that's where we are here. And I'll tell you, I swear, Elon Musk has that. He's got it. I believe that with all my heart. When I see him talk, he's having to deal with it's like a news reporter has got the producer in their phone, or a Secret Service agent has got the little earbud, and someone's or law enforcement, a SWAT team or something, military, whatever. There's plenty of applications. We know what it's like when somebody's got something in their ear and they're trying to have a conversation, but someone's talking to them, right? That's what BCI, brain computer interface, is. And I swear that's what it's like That's what it looks like to me whenever there's an interview with Elon Musk. It's like he's having to like try and make himself look normal, but he's dealing with all the information that is being computed in his brain. So moving forward into the future, they actually have head transplant, gene therapy. Of course, we have gene therapy going on, but like really moving forward with gene therapy. And then the mind upload. And that's the final evolutionary man is the brain is now completely connected. All right. Let me look over here, see if I've got any comments. Chalet in the house. Chalet in the house. Here and present and doing stuff. Okay, great. Woohoo. Oh, decorating the Christmas tree. I have a Christmas tree. I can talk about that after. Glad you're older. This crap is getting scary. I know. And Christine agrees. Very scary, but that's where we're going. Exactly. The genie is friggin' outside of the box. And we're not even talking AI, right? But like AI is part of all of this. There's nowhere in my presentation that I worked yesterday and today on. Put so many hours into this. And I didn't mention AI once, actually. So now, look at this image I found, already an image that they didn't have the top 5 BCI companies. They did not have the top 10 BCI companies. They had the top 6 BCI companies. Are there more than 6? Yes, there are. But the top 6. And what do we have on the cover? We have 8 squares. 2 of them are question marks. So I think those squares are all the companies. And there's Neuralink. That's Elon Musk's. Oh, they just did a face transplant. Ugh. I don't even want to think about that. Oh my gosh. What is it, Chalet? That's Hillary Clinton's facial. There's a term for that. If you remember it, you can write it. We are going to actually mention adrenochrome at the very, very end. But yeah, when I think of a face transplant, I can't help but think of there's a mom. I know that this isn't something you've probably researched or learned about or watched about. So yeah, it's not part of this. I'm not going to go there. Neuralink, Mind Maze, Synchron, Kernel, Paradromics, and BlackRock Neurotech. I don't trust BlackRock. Oh my God. Military industrial complex. They got their friggin' fingers in everything. They're the friggin' octopus. Oh my gosh. BlackRock and Vanguard. Eek. Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to go there. I know. Uma. No, not Uma. Uma Thurman. No. Anthony Weiner's wife. Huma. Right? Is it Huma? Yeah. And so apparently there was a video that was on Anthony Weiner's laptop that shows Hillary Clinton and Uma doing something really bad. Yes, if going to mention all this stuff, adrenochrome is worth discussing. Yes, and there's a reason. Because we're going through this whole cover step by step, and at the end we do get to it. Horrific. Well, I wasn't going to really talk too much about what it is, but we can. I was just going to mention that there could be some symbolism about it. Nothing shocks me. Yeah. Not much shocks me either. So next slide. The right side of the cover. And what I did is you can see the green circle. This is where it is on the cover. And then I made a blow up of it here, kind of in the middle, the top middle of the page. is a blow up so you can see. So obviously we all know like stock market crashes and stuff like that. But I think this is bigger than a stock market crash. Now you've got not after you ate the red pill. Rick, wait. Okay, currency, economic. So I'm calling this an economic crash. So on the four edges of this graph are currency denominations or bills, right? And these four currencies are the symbols in each of those, okay? And then in between them is a little black box at the top and at the bottom with a question mark, because all of these are going to be gone. I mean, that's something that's like the World Economic Forum has really, really been pushing. Is it going to happen in 2024? I don't know. So we've got the dollar, we've got the euro, we've got the pound, we've got the Chinese yuan. Okay. And all of them. So they're saying all four of them. And believe me, it wasn't hard for me to get an image with the four symbols of these currencies for you, because that they are the top four currencies. So now the Economic Forum is led by Charles Schwab. And so I've got a couple things here relating with him. So let me read this. There's this picture, and let me read to you what this quote says. A new world could emerge, the contours of which it is incumbent on us to reimagine and to redraw. Now, who is us? All the people that attend the World Economic Forum every year? I'm sure he's not talking about you and me. And they are reimagining it and redrawing it. So if you look at the bottom on the right, these are 4 books that are written by Charles Schwab. COVID-19, The Great Reset, The Great Narrative for a Better Future, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and Stakeholder Capitalism. So I haven't actually read any of these books. I know of them. So if you want to know more details about whatever it is that they have planned for his reimagining and redrawing of the new world, it's all in there. So you can check out those books. Now, that little graph on the top, I know it might be hard for you to see, especially if you're looking at a phone. It's the little person in the middle is digital identity. All right. Because this ties in with the currency. Now, there isn't a symbol here that says digital identity, but you can't use a digital currency unless you have a digital identity, right? If you're using cash, you can stay off the grid. But if you are going to use a digital currency, you have to have a digital identity. They're tied together, right? So there's 6 bubbles around the digital identity, and they are actions, what you do, personally identifiable information, PII, contextual information, device data, passwords, and physical characteristics like your eye or fingerprint, or whole face scan. So those are some of the things to do with digital identity. I'm on national TV. Oh, really? Oh, I'm not on a phone. I'm on the big screen. Woohoo! And that's why they want to get rid of money. Exactly. And we'll have a cashless society, just like the Bible predicts. It's going to happen. I mean, the Bible talks about it because it happens, right? Now, if you want to get into tribulation and rapture and pre-trib and post-trib and is there a rapture or not a rapture and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. That's not this discussion, but it's definitely gonna happen, right? It's just what role are we going to have? How far are we able to participate without it being the mark of the beast? But I'll tell you one thing, I don't think it's going to be a secret. I don't think it's going to be something that is accidental, that like, oh no, oops, I just took the mark of the beast. No, it is going to be something that is a clear choice, and it's something on or in your body, right? Which is why all this is very interesting too, in on that topic. Okay, next slide. So on the side of the currency which is economics, right? You have this shape. And my first thought when I saw it was shipping. It looks like a cargo ship and all the containers like stacked on it. And I found a couple of news headlines. One is freightwaves.com, a freight market turnaround in 2024. And this was written in September 23rd this year, just last month and a half ago, or 2 months ago. The top line is, as the freight market comes out of the doldrums, shippers may pay higher prices to ship their freight in 2024. However, the next stage of the ... So they're because during COVID, shipping prices went really high. I mean, nobody could ship anything, right? So it really affected the shipping industry. So shipping is coming back now, and because they had this downturn for a couple of years, they are doing new things, right? And then Radius Warehouse and Logistics Services, and that's out of the UK. They have a story called, excuse me, called 10 Logistics Trends to Keep an Eye on in 2024. And it starts off with, the sea freight world is constantly evolving, and 2024 will be no exception. This blog post profoundly delves into the top 10 trends to shape the industry, ... Okay, so there is something going on with shipping. But is that what this is symbolizing? Not sure. Could also be symbolizing smart cities. So you can see there in the middle on the top, that is called a vertical green city. All right. So food, plants for oxygen, for food for eating, plants for oxygen, help clean the air in the world. They want to turn, they want to get people condensed and going up, instead of people owning their own property and spreading out on the planet. They want to get people condensed. And so that looks very much like that symbol. It also made me think of like the wealthiest man in India, which we just talked about their population. It's huge. And he owns a house. I don't know, maybe Mumbai or something. I don't remember what city it's in. It was in India. And his house, that's his house on the right-hand side, right? And that has that block kind of structure as well. It's not necessarily a smart city, but it just made me, I just wanted to show you that because it made me think of it. And so maybe more architecture and smart cities will have more of that kind of architecture. So what do you need for a smart city? Because this is going to be coming up in the next slides. You need electricity. You need a lot of electricity because everything is electric. If everything's running on computers, there's electricity involved, right? You need Wi-Fi, which of course there's a lot of talk about 5G being installed in places, which is a different frequency than a frequency band than the like radio waves and stuff in the air, or even cell phones. Well, cell phones can use 5G, whatever. It's a different frequency in the radio like band. Right? And then I don't know what it is, but there's talk about 6G now. Maybe it's another different section of the band. And I'm really concerned with 5G and 6G messing up migration for animals, or anything using magnetics and stuff. I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't. I'm not sold on its safety. And so in order to have a smart city, you also need to have that digital identity and that digital currency, because you're not walking in or walking through or living in a smart city without having your identity digitalized and your currency digitalized. Okay. Now, in the middle and the bottom, there's a wheel, and I know you're going to have a hard time reading those. So they go utility. So this is all elements of a smart city according to this wheel. Utilities, and that includes water, electricity, all the meters on any of your utilities, smart buildings, the agricultural and rural, they're all using smart tags and stuff. So like farm to table, think of farm to table. It's all digitalized now. You scan here, you scan there, and then you get the whole process. And also, like for fertilizer and things like this, like, oh, you need more of this, you need more of that. It just automatically computes it for you. Data and city platforms, wireless, education, going totally digital, cybersecurity and privacy, healthcare. I know, Mom, you've experienced where they don't want you to come into the hospital or to visit the doctor's office. They want to do as much as possible remotely, and then only when necessary actually going to have a live visit. And then when you put in together the Fitbit kind of things, checking your blood sugar, checking your blood pressure, you can do a lot of tests by just pricking your finger, or your oxygen levels or whatever. You can do a lot of that, like with your smartphone or with an attachment with your smartphone, and get that information goes directly to the doctor, right? So healthcare is being digitized. Transportation, you're not going to own your own car anymore, right? Whether it's a mass transportation or Uber type, I think Uber is like in a step toward the electric vehicles, just, taking you around without even having a driver. And then public safety. So your fire departments, your police departments are all going digital. You've seen the robot cop dog things and stuff, right? So, whoo. Let's see what you're saying here. Lemoyne, got to go. Had something come up that you have to take care of. Okay. Bye, Lemoyne. You can watch on replay. Thanks for joining for a while. Christine says, sure, but I like still being seen by a doctor. Of course. Of course you do. But that's where it's going with smart cities. So our next slide, what do we got? Okay, so in the green circle, there's two parts of the earth. Now, I think that this is talking about a global power shift. Could it also be talking about a pole shift, a magnetic pole shift? Possibly. But if we look at what's here, in the top world has South America. And the bottom world has Southeast Asia. You can see China, you can see Australia. So I think the focus of global power is going to be moving to these areas. Now, if you've never heard of BRICS, BRIC, and then they added the S, so it was BRIC, then it was BRICS. And let me read to you what that is. I have it here. Like I said, you can always screenshot or something, or pause or whatever you need to do to make them bigger later. But as we're live, so BRICS is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The term was initially created as BRIC, without South Africa, by Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill in 2001. He believed that by 2050, the 4 BRIC economies would come to dominate the global economy. South Africa was added to the list in 2010. Now, what's going to happen as of January 2024? If you look at that little map on the left side, the red countries are the original BRICS: Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa. Okay. Who are going to be part of this? I don't know how they're going to change the acronym. I know. It's what they do, like ASEAN Plus. So they'll put in, so it'll be BRICS Plus. Oh my gosh, I hear some cats fighting downstairs. They'll just have to deal with it themselves. Okay, who's joining? Argentina, Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. So that is some big change in 2024. Big change there, right? So that's the top one, BRICS. I think it, because it starts with B, Brazil. When people think of BRICS, the image of Brazil kind of leads that, and you almost have all of South America with Brazil and Argentina, landmass wise. So I believe that that's symbolizing BRICS, even though it includes Russia and China and the other countries that I just mentioned. So the bottom one, I think the reason is shown right in the center is Southeast Asia. Now, I live in this area in Cambodia, and Cambodia is a member of ASEAN. ASEAN means the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. All right. And the very top on the right, it says ASEAN 2023, a community of opportunities, ASEAN Rising, right? The economic journey and vision. Okay. And I know that China and even Europe, there's a lot of investment coming in to ASEAN, and Cambodia is a part of that. So I see it, countries all over the world, China for sure, but Belarus, and I don't know, countries, Japan, South Korea, but there's European countries that I grew up with as the USSR. That's what we were taught, USSR, and now that that's apart and all these countries are individual again, I don't even know them all anymore. And so everybody's wanting to invest. Everybody sees ASEAN as the next place for investment. Okay. And just in case you don't know, there's a map there that lists all the Southeast Asian countries. I'm not going to go through them. You can look that up. I think there's 12. But East Timor Timor-Leste is trying to join, so then it would be 13. All right. Oh, Ian in the house. Ian in the house. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, is Andy in the house too? Andy in the house, Andy in the house. Okay, excellent, excellent. So Ian, I'm surprised at the proposed addition of Argentina. I'm in Argentina right now. Wow. And progress here is, quote, an ATM that doesn't eat your debit card, unquote. They also have long-term governance problems. Yeah. And who just had the election just today? Was that Argentina or was that Brazil? I mean, just today they elected a new guy, and I'm hearing it said that this guy is like the Donald Trump of this country, that he's like really out there wanting to like upset the status quo. Like, you know, I'm just hearing bits about it happening now. Argentina had also had so many debt, currency, inflation crises in the long term that I wonder what major changes the Economist is anticipating in Argentina to reverse course. Exactly. You know, and Iran and Ethiopia. I mean, what? ASEAN, on the other hand, makes complete sense. Heck, if I were the one making BRIC abbreviation, I might have just started with ASEAN instead. Okay, it was Argentina that just had this election. Yeah, today. They elected the guy who goes around with a chainsaw talking about how he's going to slash public services. See? I mean, I don't know. It sounds like he's even more wild than Donald Trump was, you know. So we'll have to see so South America, there's some attention on South America. And who knows if that includes, I mean, because BRICS does not include Colombia, Venezuela, and stuff, but I'm the one saying BRICS. If you're just looking at the globe, it is South America. So there could be some dynamics that include other countries as well. Okay, so, one last thing with the global power shift, and that's China's proposed Belt and Road Initiative. I just wanted to mention that. So there's a little map there. There that includes waterways with shipping, and it includes, so basically they're wanting to like reinvent the Silk Road, because back in the day when the Silk Road was the Silk Road, that was like the major commerce. All the merchants, that's how trade happened, right? Or by ships. And so they're wanting to reinvent that with high-speed trains, with whatever, right? And so in order to do that, it goes through a lot of countries. So they are funding infrastructure projects in the countries so that they can use these roads, right? And the shipping lanes. Javier Milei is the guy's name, is more policy focused than Trump, more of an ideologue, but he has Trump's trademark over the top flamboyance for sure. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Because like I said, I just saw like a little headline about it. I don't know anything. So thank you so much, Ian. Oh, and Ian saying hi to Andy too. Andy, you're popular. Yeah, so they're spending money like here in Cambodia, they're building bridges, they're building freeways. I mean, when I came here, the national roads were just little 2-lane, when I grew up in the Bay Area in California, there were certain roads that were called Blood Alley because there were so many accidents, and usually head-on accidents, because there was just a 2-lane road with one lane going one way, the other lane going the other way, and no divider in it. And they were very dangerous, and that's what the roads were like in Cambodia. The most modern road was like that, and they had no freeways. Well, now we've got one that goes from Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville. They're calling it an expressway, and they're online to build more, and also to help to rebuild the railways. They function a little bit, but it's not strictly modern. It's not that modern yet, the train system, and it's mostly just for cargo, not passengers. I mean, they have a few passenger trains, but not many. Andy saying hi to everybody. Okay, so that's global power shift. So next, what have we got? Okay, so now we're looking at the gentleman. No, we already talked about the people themselves in the beginning, and so So now we're talking about the little squares around these two people, which we've got Xi Jinping and we've got, and who I believe is Antonio Guterres. As you can replay and see a picture of him, if you don't know what he looks like and why I think this looks like him. And so United Nations leading the way, China leading the way. They're definitely, the Economist is saying that they will definitely be major players here. And so we've got a hurricane, we've got windmills, we've got a little like battery sign like energy. And so on the UN side, on the left, what are we talking about? Well, there's the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. They are really, really being pushed in developing countries like Cambodia. And, I mean, it's a hook, line, and sinker on all of these things. And companies will list which of the development, they'll use these icons to say, oh, well, our company meets this one, this one, this one, and our company meets this one, this one, this one. They're bragging rights on the sustainable. So I know that in the US, it's very much looked down upon, like, oh my God, look what they're trying to do. Whereas other parts of the world totally buy into this and are moving forward with these sustainable development goals. So with that hurricane, we're talking climate change. We could also be talking about natural disasters. I mean, are they going to turn up the dial on HARP and create more and more intense hurricanes? Or, so it could be like hurricanes themselves, or the hurricane could be symbolic of climate change and, fires, floods, droughts, all of it together, but symbolized with the hurricane. Great topic, very timely. Thank you. Well, thank you to the Economist for putting it out, and and that's why it's a Monday. So a Monday is like a no topic day, right? It's like, okay, it's not part of my schedule, but if there's something I'm interested in, then yeah, let's do it, and like I said, I'm sure you can tell, finding all these pictures, putting all the little green circles up, doing all the, there's a lot of work, which is why at the very beginning of the chat, if you scroll all the way back to the beginning, I did I put in fact, I could probably just paste. Yeah. Amazing Polly. If you like this kind of like deep dive stuff, Amazing Polly has great, she's not on YouTube anymore. So you have to go to her website. And oh my gosh, the connections and everything. I mean, she's like me times 10. Okay. She is amazing. Amazing Polly. I wish she was still on YouTube, but anyway, so let me read some of the things here. I just want to read this bottom left, the world with all those little bubbles. And what are those bubbles? Okay, so it's renewable energy, right? So there's hydropower, hydroelectric power, there's wave energy, tidal energy, solar energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy, and wind energy. So all of those are different forms of renewable energy. So I believe that the windmills is not only representing wind energy, but it's representing all of the renewable energies. And there is a huge, strong push. And I believe that just this past week, Biden and China made some kind of deal about trying to reduce fossil fuels and shift to renewable energy. So you can go just look at that in the news if that is interesting to you. But so yeah, in 2024, I think we're going to see a lot more push toward renewable energies. So now on the other side, with China, there's a thermometer. There's what looks like flames. I don't know, maybe it's like the back of the neck of a dragon or something, because China's a but it looks like flames. I'm taking it to be flames. If you see something different in that, please let me know. Electric vehicles, and again a battery, and their battery is like larger than the one on the other side. So what does all that mean? Well, of course the temperature. Okay, so I added this headline. It says China's temperatures rising faster than the global average over the last 70 years. So I was like, oh. And underneath it says China's Weather Bureau described the country as a sensitive region in global climate change, with temperatures rising 0.26 degrees Celsius a decade since 1951, compared to the global average of 0.15 degrees. So 0.26 degrees compared to everybody else, 0.15 degrees Celsius increase each decade since 1951. So is it going to reach a boiling point? Is that what it means symbolically anyway? Maybe it's not literal temperature. Maybe there's something in China, maybe the South China Sea, whatever, is going to reach a boiling point and explode. I don't know. But regards to the fire, I found a very interesting story on the very top left on the corner. China uses drone army to stop wildfires. Are we doing that in the US, or is the US doing that? Because that's great. I mean, I know that fires create a lot of updrafts and stuff, so I think it would be hard to manage the drones. Possibly, but if you're just starting at the outskirt and working your way in, but it looks like these drones have some kind of fire retardant that they're going to drop on the fires. So there's some new technology like that positively. But then there is also the electric car that's part of the cover. And I noticed a story that says electric bus bursts into flames and sets nearby vehicles on fire. And I thought, oh, well, maybe those two are connected in, there's going to be more electric cars, but maybe because if the percentage of fires stays the same, well, then the more cars you have, the more fires there's going to be, right? And then there's two other pictures there under the drones. One is a big factory fire, and one is a skyscraper that was on fire. So maybe there's going to be more fires in China. I don't know. I tried to look up if there was anything to do with like smelting or forging or something like that. So like maybe, we tend to think of fire as a negative thing, but maybe it's a positive thing, maybe, but I couldn't find anything on that. So maybe not. And then the final picture down there in the bottom is electric cars. And they not only have electric cars that are like the little mini smart cars, they've got luxury cars that are electric cars. I know, because here in Cambodia, we get friggin' imports. There's more Maybachs. I never even heard of a Maybach until here in Cambodia. And there's like, if you're out on the road, you're going to see a Maybach. They're that common, Okay, before we switch over to the next one, let me see what you guys are saying. Ian, my contacts in and from China are worried about Xi Jinping. Mm-hmm. And Andy says, yeah, you've seen some Polly. Amazing. Yeah, she is. Oh, she's great. Drones would be a good idea for wildfires in California. The state depends too much on prison labor to meet the need for firefighting. Exactly. You know, so Andy, seen a lot of e-vehicles catch fire. Firefighters told to take great care. Not much they can do, but let it burn down, and then it's a hazmat cleanup. Exactly. So if there's an increase in electric vehicles, maybe there's also going to be an increase in fires, right? So it's always fun to speculate and try to decipher things, because sometimes, oh, it could mean this, it could mean that, right? But these are some good speculations that we have for decoding the Economist cover. All right, so next slide. I've got a few more to get through here, just not too many, but a few. So mineral mining. All right, so because at the bottom you see where the circles are, the green circles. I'm not even going to try to figure out those. There's 4 minerals, both the UN and China, 2 and 2. Which minerals are which? I don't know. All right. But I did do some looking up into mineral mining, and this NDPR, supply and demand. That chart is about rare earth. Okay. And rare earth mining. And that's what that picture is on the left side, is all these little vials are all different little rare earth materials. And so there's a race on to get mining of these rare earth materials. And then, so you can see on that chart that's in the middle, you've kind of got the black and gray on the bottom, and then you've got some blue and some red stacks on the graph. The red is the demand that's expected without supply. And the blue is like, I think, increased demand that there is supply for. And then the red is demand that there's currently no supply. If they don't find a way to mine more, then that's how much supply is going to be lagging. And so let me look here in my PowerPoint so I can read it. Required projects, okay, and the supply gap. All right, so on there's 2 graphs there, and so the gray to blue one on the right side is seeing what it's being used for. 4% of the demand, and this is for 2030. 4% is for speakers, 5% is for aircon, 5% is for other, 7% is for other e-mobility, maybe like scooters, like old people scooters. And what are those big wheels that you like stand on and you just step on it and ride around on it like a, what are those? I forgot what those are. Add it in the chat. Okay, other e-mobility. 11% wind turbines need rare earth in order to convert the wind into energy, into electricity. Consumer electronics, 10%. And then HEV, PHEV, and EV, so various electric vehicles, 40%. Right? We are just raping the earth for this. So the chart that's on the bottom left side is the rare earth supply chain and how China is dominant in all stages of the mining, the refining, and then the recycled supply as well. So there's a refined supply and a recycled supply. And 97% of the recycled supply is China. 3% is North So you can see those. So on the right-hand side, I've listed 3 minerals, which could very well be represented on the cover: cobalt, graphite, and lithium. And I think, wasn't there just a huge announcement about Arkansas starting a big lithium mine? So cobalt is used for battery materials, superheat resistant alloys, tool steels, hard alloys, and magnetic materials, right? Graphite, of course, we know about it in pencils, but also lubricants, crucibles, foundry facings, polishes, arc lamps, batteries, brushes for electric motors, and cores of nuclear reactors. Okay. And lithium, several industrial applications. So we're not talking about medical applications. We're talking about industrial, heat resistant glass and ceramics, lithium grease lubricants, flux additives for iron, steel, and aluminum production, lithium metal batteries, and lithium ion batteries. If you have a smartphone, you probably have a lithium ion battery. All right. So there's minerals and mining. What's going to happen with that? It's going to take off. It's going to, are we going to run out? Are we going to, the mining has to increase in order to meet the demand of all these smart cities and electric vehicles, and the renewable energy needs to be converted into rare earth minerals as well. So let me go back here. No comments? Okay. Moving on. So the eclipses. So there's 2 rows of eclipses. There's a black and white row, and there's a red and blue row. And one thing that I noticed very interesting is that the black and white one starts with black on the so if the left is the beginning of the eclipse sequence, it mirrors itself in that it ends up black on the outside at the end. Starts out as black, ends as black, right? Now, the red and the blue and red ones are not like that. They switch. So it starts out as blue and it ends up as red. See the difference there? Haven't heard anyone else talk about that. What does it mean? I don't know. Except that the black and white one, whatever that is representing, is going to end up the same. And I'll read to you a bit about black and white. And the red and blue is going to transform from one to the other. Right? So there's a major total solar eclipse on, let me look here. Eclipses. April 8th. Now there are 2 solar eclipses, a total and an annular. And there are also 2 lunar eclipses, a penumbral and a partial. So I don't think the partial one would have anything to do with it, because these look like total eclipses, right? Now, whatever eclipse is represented by the red and blue, in the middle, when the eclipse itself happens, there is a question mark. And it also looks like an eye. It also reminds me of CERN. So what is going to happen during that eclipse? Right? So I dug up some information just so it would be handy here. In many modern spiritual traditions, solar eclipses are seen as opportunities for introspection, reflection, and transformation. They are often associated with themes of endings, beginnings, and rebirth, or maybe reset, right? Some people believe that solar eclipses can bring about spiritual awakening and a heightened sense of awareness. Ancient Greeks had a different spin on the celestial event. They believed that eclipses were a sign the gods were angry with humans and that the sun would abandon the earth, bringing untold misery. The word eclipse, the actual word eclipse, comes from the Greek word meaning abandonment. So could there be either a transformation, a reset that's going to happen? And maybe this isn't the literal date. I mean, it could have something to do with the literal date of the eclipse, or maybe it's just talking about within 2024, a global eclipse will happen. And, the sun abandoning the earth, bringing untold misery. I just had a thought. Isn't there efforts by whoever to block the sun to stop the global warming? Is it Bill Gates? Is it the Facebook guy? Who's putting money into that? Somebody's putting money into that. And that's possibly what they're not even hiding chemtrails anymore. They just refuse to call them chemtrails, and they'll say chemtrails are a conspiracy theory. But there's plenty of scientists in universities and whatever talking about geoengineering. No secret about geoengineering. It's being done. And so are they spraying things into the sky? That's part of it? To reflect the sun, they're blocking, there's efforts to block the sun. And the people that are doing it are proud of it, and they're thinking they're helping the earth. What if something about that is scheduled to happen? And that the sun would be abandoning the earth, bringing we would, if they do succeed in blocking the sun. I mean, you guys know the story about the sparrows and Mousy Tongue? So he had a lot of people to feed. In fact, he had so many people to feed that he did a one child only policy to kind of curtail the population a little bit during a fire horse zodiac year, so everyone was killing their female babies because they didn't want them to have power, according to the fire. As I know, I was born in 1966, and it's the year of the fire horse, and they didn't want people to have that. They didn't want women to have that. Anyway, back to the sparrow story. So they have to grow a lot of rice, and the sparrows were coming along and eating the rice. So he told everybody, kill all the sparrows, and they did. But then they had pestilence that destroyed all the rice. So that kind of backfired, right? Because they didn't have the sparrows in order to eat the bugs, right? There's a case in Australia about these frogs that were non-native that got released, and it totally messed up the ecosystem. It happened with wolves. In timber wolves are being reintroduced now to help balance the ecosystem in the U.S. and such. Let me see your comments. No comments? Come on, guys. You guys had some great comments earlier. You got to be thinking something about all this, right? Yeah. So interesting. Oh, black and white. So let me talk about the black and white. One last thing on before we move this slide. So black and white binary has often been conflated with the binary of good and evil. Freemasonry has a black and white checkerboard as a central symbol within the lodge, and all rituals occur on or around this checkerboard, right? So there's a binary of good and evil that's usually part of black and white. So if that's the case, then black, it starts out evil. You have your eclipse, and then you end up still having evil. If that's the case, didn't get anywhere, didn't accomplish anything, didn't transform anything. Whereas the red and blue does transform from blue to red. So this is our last slide coming up. Let's talk about blue and red, because you can see here how much blue and red, blue and red, blue and red there is all over this cover, right? And so some things that come to mind that the blue and red could be the blue pill and the red pill. The red pill is opening your eyes. And this kind of comes from The Matrix, right? The movie The Matrix. So the character is presented with a choice. Either take the red pill or the blue pill. And if he takes the red pill, his mind will be awakened to the truth. If he takes the blue pill, he'll stay asleep and stay in his simulation. Okay? So is there a situation like that coming this year in 2024 where there's a choice between the red pill and the blue pill? Choice, that makes me think of the whole thing we were talking about with the digital identity and the currency and the mark, and it will be a clear choice whenever it is. Could that be happening in 2024? I don't know. Red and blue can also be politically. In America, we think of Democrats as blue and Republicans as red. And throughout the world, the UN is blue, communism is red. So could it have anything to do with these? We've got Ukraine is red, and we've got Putin is blue. We've got the UN, Guterres, being blue. We've got Xi Jinping in China being red. So, is it political? The other thing I was thinking about is, the elites are blue bloods, right? And red often, so you could have blue bloods and red blood. And so maybe, and because remember in the bottom eclipse, you're going from blue to red. And I don't know what, is there going to be more communism in the world or socialism? Is there going to be more blood? Like, there's a lot there, shall we say blood therapy, where people drink blood, people use blood for facials, people, whatever. And it's like, it's almost to the point that there could be stores selling blood for human consumption or something. And God forbid, Kuru with cannibalism and stuff. But red and also pink often also symbolize adrenochrome. And so could there be more of that coming? I don't know, in 2024. Or could there be some exposure of it? Made me think of human trafficking as well. There's a drug epidemic with the fentanyl and all the zombie people and stuff like that, homelessness. which is a lot of times it used to be that homeless people maybe were just a little mental ill, during the Reagan years. I guess they really emptied a lot of mental hospitals, and people ended up on the street from that. And I mean, I've known some homeless people that they don't want to live anywhere. They don't want to live in a house. They don't want to feel closed in. They prefer having the freedom of living on the streets, and it's a choice, because they know they have options and they could get off the street if they want to, but they don't want to. And then you've got, but now the videos, at least that I've seen in the U.S. and San Francisco, but now you must be stopped. Oh my gosh, you guys started making comments. Let me go back. Okay, we are intrigued. What is it? Control out of chaos, something like that. Yes, order out of chaos. Order out of chaos. And then there's also the thing that is problem, reaction, solution. So you've got the 2, order out of chaos, and you've got the 3, that's problem, reaction, solution. But they're both basically the same idea. Israel is blue. Wow. Oh, good catch, Chalet. Oh, red for patriot. Wow, that's positive thinking. Red planet, maybe some stuff happening with Mars. Grasshopper. Oh, with the sparrow and the mousy tongue thing. Blood. Heard a crazy one using blood as a heavy binder in building materials like concrete. Oh, and where are they going to get this blood supply from? Now you must be stopped. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Al Capone, Andy. Wow. So much. I know I was kind of like on a ball rolling there, and got sidetracked by the comments. Sorry about that, but I guess I said what I needed to say. Yeah. So much. Oh, why is it still? You guys, I'm so sorry that I didn't switch the slide for you. There you go. There's red pill, blue pill, Republicans and Democrats, and the UN and communism in general, blue bloods, red blood, and adrenochrome. There you go. So, yeah, some great ideas in here. Red and blue make purple. This is true. But there is no purple here. And notice, even when there's the eclipse, it's just black where they overlap. It's not purple. Oh, Andy's got a red heart and a blue heart. That's clever. See, Mom, I'm using the elephant mug that you gave me for my coffee. So that's it. Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. Going back to the 80s there with Prince. Well, I think of him as the 80s. I guess he was still making music into the 90s, maybe even 2000s. The answer is in the song. We have to figure it out. Oh, that was something that I talked about doing before, that we could like go through different songs and like American Pie or whatever, and go through all the symbolism in it. That could be fun too. I'll have to remember that. But I'm kind of done. I'm done. This is it. An hour and a half. Now you know my thoughts on what all the symbolism means here in the Economist cover, and Purple Rain lyrics. I figured. So I'm going to put this back on the cover. you know. So that was like, what, 16 slides? 13. 13 slides going through all of that. And I hope you enjoyed the style of, instead of just like talking about showing the cover, but actually going through and having pictures and lines and circling things. I hope that that worked for you. But I guess that's it for tonight. And tomorrow, of course, is just our ramble night, and then Wednesday is Gen X. Thursday is Thanksgiving. I could still do a travel log, 9 o'clock my time, 9 a.m. for you. Well, in the morning, you guys gonna be cooking your Thanksgiving dinner? Yeah, if you do, if you're free, you can join. If you're busy cooking, then you can watch on replay at your convenience. And if you're so inclined, don't forget, I on Sundays, I just had the Power Praise show. I'm really getting into it. I just sing a couple of a cappella praise songs in the 2-3, and then we were reading the book Anatomy of the Spirit. So I would really encourage you to start, if you haven't watched those, start with the beginning, the first one, because you've got a week, right, until the next one, until next Sunday. And watch, one a day. Watch those and check it out. Great stuff. Miss you, Lemoyne. Catch you on the next one. Happy Thanksgiving. This was interesting at the Maven. How long have you been in Cambodia? 16 years. And Mumsy says, interesting as usual. Yes, 16 years I've been here. I love it. I'm here for life. This is my new home. People say, when are you coming home? Or when you go, people in Cambodia, they say, when are you going home? I'm like, I am home. My mom said, when are you coming home? I am home. And I'm getting ready for a good Thanksgiving. I've got just a few people coming over, and got the turkey ready. It's thawing, and yeah, maybe I'll do like a little short of when everything's on the table before we eat. I'll do a little short and show it. But one quick thing I can show you is my Christmas tree, because sweet Srei Mao, my pet nanny, um, ta-da! Christmas tree. There we go. I wanted it to be up for Thanksgiving. My mom always hated that. She's like, nothing for Christmas, not until after Thanksgiving. Right, Mumsy? Miss you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know. I miss you too. I do. I really do. And I just like refuse to think about you getting older. I refuse to think in that direction. God bless us, everyone. Yes, Chalet. And so I send my love out to all of you, because love transcends time and space. So wherever you are and whenever you are watching, may you feel my love for you. May it not be wasted. Too early, but nice. Yes, that's my mom. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. And, click a like on your way out. And if you're new, subscribe. If this is if you enjoy this chalet, love your ceramic dolls and a great song selection, inventive graphics. I agree 100%. Yeehaw! She knows what I mean. Yeehaw! Okay. Bye. Love you all.